Good morning, boys and girls of Mount Dora Christian Academy. I hope that you guys are having a great day. It's Friday, so it's the end of the week. The weekend's coming up, and I think it's going to be a nice weekend. And I know you're excited about getting to the weekend and being able to relax and have a little bit of fun. But this morning, I want to come to you through the waves of the internet and talk to you just for a few minutes about some characters that you've been studying about in the Bible. And these are very important characters as we go through the Bible and as we think about the story of the Bible and the Old Testament and some of the things that happen. These are some interesting characters and some important characters that we study about. Now you remember that when you go back, you can look and you'll see that there was a young man by the name of Isaac, and Isaac was Abraham's son. And then Isaac married a young lady named Rebekah, and they had two sons. And you remember about those sons, they were twins, and their names were Jacob and Esau. Now, although they were twins, there were some differences there. If you remember, Esau was described as someone who was a hunter. He was a man of the field. He liked to go out and hunt, and he was kind of an outdoor kind of a guy. But then his twin brother Jacob was different from that. He wasn't a hunter. He wasn't an outdoor kind of a guy. He was more of an indoor guy. And I know that sometimes we have those differences. Some of you like to be outdoors. Some of you like to be inside. And so that was something that was different about them. But there was also a rivalry between the two. The two of them didn't always agree and see eye to eye. And I know sometimes as brothers and sisters, we can get that way as well. And so we read about this, and we read all through Genesis, and we read about their growing up and their childhood. But then there came a time where their father, Isaac, was going to give a blessing, and the blessing that he was going to give was supposed to be for Esau. At least that's who Isaac meant it for. However, Jacob came in and took the blessing that was supposed to go to Esau, and you might remember that in the story there. And if you remember also, when Esau found out that Jacob, his brother, received that blessing, he was very upset about that. Well, Isaac, of course, we think about Isaac and his wife Rebekah, wanted to make sure that his son Jacob married a good woman. And so Isaac sent him away to Rebekah's brother's house and to his family. And his name was Laban. And so Rebekah, Jacob's mother, had a brother named Laban. And Isaac said, you go to her family, you go to Laban's house, and you find a wife from those people, because he wanted to make sure that his son Jacob married a good woman. And so he did just that. Jacob traveled and journeyed and went there to Laban and to his family. And while he was there, he met a daughter that Laban had. And her name was Rachel. And he loved Rachel. In fact, he loved Rachel so much that the Bible tells us that he was willing to work for 7 years just to be able to marry her. And so he made this deal with Rachel's father, Laban, and he says, I'll work for you for 7 years if you'll let me marry your daughter, Rachel. And so he worked for 7 years, and the time came, and he went to marry Rachel, but something happened. And here's what happened. Instead of Rachel, it was Leah who he ended up marrying, and that was Rachel's older sister. Now, Jacob didn't realize this at the time, but later he realized that he had been tricked. And so he went to Laban and he said, I was supposed to marry Rachel. That was the deal. I worked 7 years. I marry Rachel. Well, Laban said, listen, in our family and where we live, the custom is that the firstborn or the oldest has to be married before the younger one can get married. But he said, if you'll work for me another 7 years on top of the 7 you've already worked, I will also give you Rachel as a wife. Well, because Jacob loved Rachel so much, he was willing to work another 7 years. And I know that you kids are good at math, so I know that you know that 7 plus 7 is 14. And that means that Jacob worked a total of 14 years to be able to marry Rachel. That's how much he loved her. Well, he had some children by them, but for a while there, Rachel didn't have any children with Jacob. But finally, God blessed Rachel, and she had a son. And that son's name was Joseph. Now, Joseph is also a very important character in the Bible, and we read a lot about him in the book of Genesis. In fact, you're going to be studying about him coming up and learning about the story of Joseph if you don't already know some about him. And so they had a son together, and it was a boy, and his name was Joseph. But then they had one more son. And here's what happened. You see, Jacob was returning back to his homeland, and he was going to see his brother Esau again. They were going to patch things up, and everything was going to be all right between the two of them. And so he went and he journeyed back, and he took both Rachel and Leah and all of his children, and they all journeyed back. And after they got back, he and Rachel had another child, and it was going to be, again, a boy. Now, they already had Joseph, but this was another son. But while Rachel was giving birth to this next son, this second son of theirs, she died. But the boy lived, and his name was Benjamin. And so Jacob, by Rachel, his wife, whom he loved so much and worked 14 years for, was able to have two sons together. Joseph was the first, and Benjamin was the second. And so because he loved Rachel as much as he did, you know that he loved those two boys very, very much, Joseph and Benjamin. And so that kind of is a recap of what we know about Jacob and his brother Esau. Jacob getting the blessing, going away to Laban's family, meeting Rachel there. He works 7 years. He ends up marrying Leah, but he works another 7 years and marries Rachel also. And by Rachel, he has these two sons, Joseph and Benjamin. Very special young boys, and certainly very special to Jacob. And again, you're going to learn a lot about Joseph coming up because he plays a very important role in the Bible and in the history of Israel. And so as we think about that, I just wanted to kind of recap that with you this morning. Again, I hope that you're having a great day today. I hope the sun's shining down there. I hope it's nice and warm. And I hope you got a lot of good things that you're going to be able to learn today. And so just wanted to mention those few words to you. And just want to leave those thoughts with you over the weekend. And when you come back next week, hopefully you'll have a great time learning about this young man by the name of Joseph and all the really great things that he was able to do. Hope you have a wonderful day. Again, good to see you, Coach Swearingen. And we'll have to get together again. I hope you kids are remembering to eat your fruit. Remember we talked about fruit before? I know you probably don't recognize me without my mask on from Halloween. But good to see you again, and hope to see you all again soon. Have a great, great day.